Hey guys, Tomboy601, and I hope you're having a good day. Today, we're taking a look at the best and worst Tier 4 cruisers. That's right, we're continuing this series. I think it's a great, interesting way to look at a couple of ships. But before we take a look at this week's ships, let's go ahead and dive into the comment of the day. Comment of the day is a comment chosen from one of the last videos and chosen to be highlighted right here. If you want your comment read, well, you gotta comment. Anyways, our comment of the day is from Zor. He said, the closet game. And yes, if you look, I messed up my last thumbnail. It's supposed to be closest game I've ever played, but had a little bit of a stressful thing. Upgraded my computer, which will bring some exciting things to this channel very soon. We'll be upgrading to 4K video relatively soon, which is going to be exciting and a new challenge to record and edit. But yes, I was running out of the time on my old computer and running out of time before I had to upload. And yeah, the closest game turned it into the closet game. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about this week's ships. So if you don't know, best and worst works in two ways. First, we talk about the best and worst ships at the tier based on a spreadsheet. Ships get +2 points if they have the best in class of a certain stat, +1 if they have the second best, and then likewise, but for the worst in class, -2 points for the worst in class of a certain stat, and -1 point for second worst in class. Then after we talk about the spreadsheet's pick, we talk about my picks and why they may be better or worse than what the spreadsheet says are the best and worst. So let's go ahead and talk about the worst in class according to the spreadsheet, and that's gonna go ahead and be the Kirov. Now on our spreadsheet, the Kirov gets -13 points, which is the highest number I've seen. I've been doing a couple of these spreadsheets so far to plan ahead and just to get some stats in, and it is the worst I've seen as far as a delta between its best and worst. And it's a really interesting reason as to why it has the worst. Its best stat, it has one very key stat that is best in class at, and that is its firing range. Longest firing range at the tier, 15.7 kilometers. It also has second best AP damage, so it is very much meant to be a long-range accurate cruiser, which is kind of what we expect out of Russian cruisers. So what does that mean? Well, what it has worse than the tier are several things. First off, second worst reload time at the tier. Also, its damage per minute when it comes to HE shells is shockingly low, along with the fire chance on those shells at only 6.5%. The other thing that really balances and brings down this ship is its overall maneuverability and its detectability. Now, because it's designed to be so far away, the devs did, I think, decide to give it a rather large rudder shift time just to make it able to be hit, I think, with a longer aloft time for a lot of shells at the tier. If it had too quick of a rudder shift, it could be too effective at kiting away and dodging long-range shells. Additionally, this is why it has the highest detectability at the tier, 12.4 kilometers detection by sea and 7.4 by air, with a 6.6 kilometer detection range in the smoke. So overall, basically, you are not hiding in the Kirov. You're running for your life and playing very defensively, and it's very strong at that. And as a result, I think just because of its firing range, it keeps itself safe if you're playing this ship correctly. And I don't exactly agree with the worst at tier moniker that the spreadsheet has given it, but I completely understand why it's there, because you do especially need to know what you're doing while playing the Kirov. On the other side of the category, we actually have a tie for the best ships, and it turns out one of them is my personal choice, so we're not going to talk about that one now. We're going to talk about the other one that went ahead and took the best slot, and that's the Furutaka. That's the Japanese cruiser, and she has some surprisingly strong stats. The one that I was the most surprised on is actually her HP. She has the highest HP for any ship at 30,700, which, like I said, somewhat surprising to me. She has 6 guns, which are the largest caliber at the tier, but she does have the slowest reload time, giving her a 26.66 shells per minute. Once again, the slowest at the tier in that. What she does make up for, though, is her HE damage. She has the highest HE damage at 3,382, and those shells have a 17% chance of fire, which is also the best at the tier. So you are guaranteed to do some heavy damage and a good chance to set them on fire. AP, she also has the highest AP damage at the tier at 4,700. Once again, she is a powerhouse when it comes to per shell damage. It's just that those shells come very slow, so you need to be accurate with her. Furutaka also maintains the Japanese tradition of high torpedo damage at 16,267, only bested by the premium Yahagi when it comes to damage. She does also have an incredible torp range at 10 kilometers. Beyond that, she is a kiting cruiser, so that means that she has a relatively quick rudder shift speed at 5.2 seconds, the best for any tech tree ship. Overall, Furutaka is just like the Kirov, where it is a typical exemplar of its class. Japanese cruisers known for their kiting ability, and that is what Furutaka is. She is a kiting cruiser. She does heavy HE damage. She is stealthy. She keeps enemies at a distance, not as much as Kirov, but she does a very good job of getting those guns on target and go ahead and setting them alight and playing a fairly strong HE game. And this makes her one of the stronger counters to the battleships at the tier. So now that we've talked about the best and worst according to the spreadsheet, let's go ahead and talk about my personal best and worst. And my worst to start off is going to go ahead and to be the Ohmaha. Now, I have nothing too horribly against the Ohmaha. It's just that it doesn't impress anywhere, and its citadel is one of the highest and easiest things to hit. I know whenever I see an enemy Ohmaha, I know exactly where to land, anywhere in the middle of that thing, and I will be earning some easy citadels. And that's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan. Yes, you can learn to sort of bow tank in them, but you will be at such a disadvantage because of how small and weak the majority of your guns are. Now, she does have one of the lower firing ranges of her class, 13.4 kilometers, which is the same for a bunch of the cruisers. Her reload time, she has the second best in the class at 7 seconds. And because of the sheer number of guns, she does have one of the higher numbers of shells per minute at 102 per minute, but it's still a fairly weak shell, only doing 2,253 damage. Now, if you can manage to be able to fire all of the guns around her consistently, you will have one of the highest damage per minute in her class at 231,000 damage per minute. But that chance is going to be few and far between because you will need to be surrounded, and at that point you will be showing broadside, and when you are showing broadside, as we have already established, you are going to be dead in this ship. So the only way to really access her full strength and what sets her better than the rest of the ships in her tier is going to be by showing that full broadside, and it's something that you are never really going to want to do because of how vulnerable it leaves you. On the other hand, the best ship, in my opinion, for Tier 4, and the other one that got the highest marks on the spreadsheet, is the French's Emile Bertin. And overall, I think she's a very great ship, and here's the thing. She is not the worst in class on any single thing. She's middle of the road consistently everywhere, and then she has a couple of strong points, which really make her kind of feeling like a pure bonus ship. Like when you play Call of Duty and you set up your gun, you're always looking for like a pure bonus class where you don't make, by adding the attachments, you don't make it worse in any way. That's kind of what the Emile Bertin feels like. She feels like a run-of-the-mill cruiser that's had a couple of upgrades that make her special in a couple of ways that make her very effective, but she doesn't really have any major downsides, and that's why I really like her. So what is she good at? Well, she has a 15-second 180 time on her guns, the second fastest at the tier, meaning she's very good at repositioning. She can easily keep people in target while she turns. Also, she has the second best fire chance at the tier at 16%, only falling behind the Japanese cruisers who have a 17% 8% chance of fire. And she does make up for it, though, because the Japanese ships, or at least the Furutaka, has a 14-second reload time. She has 11.6, which means she's going to get an average of 12 more shells per minute on target at 46 shells per minute, which means she, in the long run, will have a better fire starting chance than the Japanese, because that percentage is based on per shell hit. And if you're firing more shells, you're going to have a higher overall shell chance, especially when the delta between them is only 1%. The last thing that she is a superstar at is being a speed demon. She outclasses most destroyers, having a top speed of 40 knots. She is incredibly quick in the water, and that's one of the main reasons I initially fell in love with her. In fact, way back when I kind of started dipping into World of Warships content, I did a review. I'm not very knowledgeable. I mean, I'm still not now, but still I try, but back then I really wasn't. So if you want to see an early video of mine, go ahead and check this video out. Yeah, it's kind of ugly, but it's still a good time. Overall, I really like this ship just because it is a pure bonus ship, and that's where I have my fun. She's fast. She feels like a big boy destroyer. It feels like the French didn't understand what a destroyer was, so they made their cruisers one, and I love it because I'm a destroyer player at heart. What can I say? Anyways, guys, that's my best and worst ships for Tier 4 for the cruisers. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. And my name's Tomboy61. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See ya.